How's it going, you guys? And welcome to my 20.2 open video going over strategies and tips to help you guys do your best. And when it comes to this workout, every single second is gonna count. So this video is gonna be jam-packed with a lot of different things going over, techniques, approach, the little minute things that you might not consider until the middle of the workout when you're dying. But we're gonna have you guys think about those now so you can maximize your time during this workout. Now, two things I want to say. One, I know the last video was kind of long. I'm gonna try to keep this video as short as I can, but if it does end up being a decent sized video, it's because I'm gonna go over a lot of different things, and even though there's only so many things on this board, in the middle of me talking about it, I think of so many other things that typically pops in my head, and I want to make sure I share with you guys. So that's the first thing. And the second thing is, if you guys have any questions on the things that I mentioned in this video, feel free to respond right away before you guys do the workout, and I'll get back to you within minutes. I'm very on it with my YouTube comments. So now getting into what this workout is. So real quick, it is a 20-minute AMRAP, 4 dumbbell thrusters at 50 for guys, 35 for ladies, 6 toes to bar, and 24 double unders. The scaled version is 35 for guys, 20 for ladies. It is hanging knee raises and single unders. Some things I wanted to point out that I saw in the movement standards is that the first one, picking up the dumbbells in a squat. I didn't actually see this in the standards. I didn't see them say you couldn't do this. And if you watch the Australian Open announcement, Con Porter was doing this variation the whole time, where he would just kind of get down into a squat, pick up the dumbbells to his shoulders in the squat, and then stand up for his very first rep. So I feel like that would shave off a little bit of time and a little bit of energy versus having to pull them all the way up from the floor to your shoulders and then squat cleaning them for there. So definitely try that out. If 50-pound thrusters is really heavy for you, even if it's just 4 reps, maybe you might want to shy away from that because it'll probably be hard to actually get them to your shoulders, but try it out and see how they feel and see if that's a viable option for you. And then second is switch grip is allowed for toes to bar. So you can do typical switch grip like you would for like a deadlift, where you have one hand over, one hand under. You could do both hands under. You could mix up how the grip is gonna be. All that matters is that you still reach full arm extension and that you're still obviously getting your toes behind the bar and actually tapping your toes to the bar. I know a lot of people, that think that if they get their legs high enough, like underneath the bar, so this is the bar and the legs get right here, that counts, but you have to physically touch. So point your toes and get some part of your shoe touching the bar for them to count. If you don't touch, doesn't matter how far or close you get to the bar if you're not actually making physical contact to it. Now, first going over mobility, a lot of different things I want to stretch. First one is hips. More so for the dumbbell thrusters, make sure you're able to get into a nice deep squat, because if your hips are kind of tight and you do more of like that good morning type squat where you push your butt really far back, that's really going to affect how you do the dumbbell thrusters, because the thrusters, you want to be as up and down as you possibly can, more of like a front squat versus a back squat type setup. So the more your hips are mobile, the more you can sink down into your squat, the more upright you can get, the better off you're going to be. And obviously you don't want to call it close with those squats if you feel like you're someone that does have tight hips and you get close to parallel, but maybe not every single rep is below parallel. Make sure hips are really good so you can make every single rep count and not have to get no rep, because even though it's only 4 dumbbell thrusters, 50 pounds is still heavy unless you're like a 250 pound, 6'5" man, which I'm definitely not. So I'm gonna make sure each rep, is hitting the standard, so I don't have to do any extra reps on top of that. Next, going over the ankles. So we wanna make sure the ankles feel good, because you wanna be able to get those knees forward, so that way you're allowed to stay in that upright squat. If your knees or ankles are really stiff, then you're gonna have to go back to that good morning type squat. And then also for the double unders, if your ankles are stiff, it's going to be really taxing on your double unders, and it's going to really affect how those go as well. So make sure the ankles feel really good and loose. We're going to make sure they feel warm during the warm up. We're going to address those as well. Next, thoracic. So if you're someone that, when you typically do like cleans or front squats, your back is really rounded over and it's pretty, hunched like this, you want to do some thoracic mobility. Just quickly open that up and make sure that you're able to stay as big chest as you possibly can, so that way, when it comes to dumbbell thrusters, you're not hunched over here, not leaning forward. When it comes to you locking out the dumbbells, you're able to get your head through your arms and make sure you're not hunched over like this, and then, because this doesn't count as a good rep. If you're back fronted like this and the dumbbells are out this way, you want to be able to open up and get the dumbbells and your head through your arms. And then on your toes to bar, if you have a tight thoracic, then it's hard for you to open up here as well. Again, get the arms overhead and get a nice big arch position, so that way you can open up and get a big kip every time. The more you can arch, the more tension you can build, and the more you can go back into the swing, and it's gonna really help your toes to bar. So if you have a tight upper back, mobilize that bad boy. I would typically get into like a tabletop position or a quadruped, if you know what that is. So on hands and knees, place your hand behind your back, You're gonna bring your elbow to your other elbow, and then you're gonna twist up and away as much as you can. I'd probably do like 12 each side. I really like that one a lot. It's just a really good way to kind of get everything moving. And then from there, any other thoracic stretches you might need if you're someone that's a seriously tight upper body person. Next, so now I'm going rambling again. Let's go a little faster. Next, hamstrings. If your hamstrings are tight and it's hard for you to keep your legs long on the kip for the toes to bar, it's really gonna affect how well you can do them if you're doing like the more up and down type of toes to bar, which isn't a bad thing. But I feel like in order for you to get really far, you wanna have a big, long swing of the legs so you can use a lot of your body weight and your levers to help you be as efficient with that kip and not just up and down and just frying your core and your hip flexors. So long hamstrings are gonna help you out a lot. Next, forearms. It's a lot of grip. You're holding on to dumbbells here, you're holding on to a bar here, you're holding on to jump ropes here. I totally forgot what it was called for a second. I was like, what do you call the thing you spin for double unders? So make sure your forearms feel good. I would just smash them out. I would lay on the floor, grab a barbell, place the sleeve where you put the weights on, not with weight. You're not gonna put weights on it, but where the weights typically would go. You're gonna put that on your arm and you're gonna roll it around. You can put your arms in different angles, and that usually feels pretty good, especially if you're someone that has really tight forearms or you did a really grippy workout the past couple days, you're still kind of feeling it. I like to do that a lot. And then lastly, or actually I have one more I wanna mention after this one, but next we have calves. Make sure your calves feel good because we got a lot of jumping. We have just like 20.1, people might not have considered it, but it was a lot of jumping. It was a lot of jumping for the ground overhead. It was a lot of jumping for the burpees. It's a lot of jumping here. You extending onto your toes for the dumbbell thrusters. You extending onto your toes to jump up and grab the bar. You extending on your toes 24 times for double unders or single unders. So the calves need to feel good and warm. And if you're someone like me that during 20.1 had to rip their shoes off as soon as they were done because their feet were on fire, also I would add underneath there, get your feet as well. So you can just grab a lacrosse ball or a foam roller and roll out the bottom of your feet. It's pretty effective. How often do you get massages or massage the bottom of your feet? Probably not as often as you should. And they get really stiff, especially if you wear like really hard, tight shoes all day at work. So something to consider, smash the bottom of your feet, especially if they were a problem on 20.1. It's gonna be a problem here, almost guaranteed, especially with all that jumping from here. Next, going into the warm-up. So I have it in two different sections. Typically I would add like a 3 to 5 minute monostructural piece at the very beginning, like a 3 to 5 minute bike or ski or row or run. You could still do that, but what I feel like a lot of people will probably do is they'll go running and they'll kind of get the heart rate up a little too high, thinking that's what they need, which I don't think it'd be the worst thing ever. But what I feel like would happen is if, let's say you went for a 5 minute run and every minute you got a little bit faster and you came in, you're huffing and puffing and you got your heart rate up to like a 160. I don't see a lot of us mere mortals needing to get our heart rate up to 160 and trying to maintain it there, because that's pretty high. That's a very high heart rate to try to hold on to. Versus a games athlete that might have a max heart rate of like 210 or 215, that 160 is a good pace for them. 160 for a lot of us is gonna be very high. And if you get it that high beforehand, you might feel like that's a good pace you wanna hold on to later on, which is what I want you to refrain from. So definitely don't be afraid from doing 3 to 5 minutes just running or rowing or something, but I wouldn't get your heart rate super high on that. Just enough to get, breathe a little bit harder and get sweaty. But for the very first part of the warm-up, we're gonna do 2 rounds, 10 kipping swings. I want you guys to practice having a nice, beautiful kip from the start, so that way it's gonna really help translate over to your toes to bar. So for a beautiful kip, feet need to be together. You're gonna point your toes, legs are in, so knees are locked out, and you're creating the swing from your upper body, your shoulders and your lats. So it is you opening up with your arms to come through for the arch, it is you pulling down and leaning back for the hollow position. So it's not you swinging your legs below you to create the momentum. It's you pulling yourself forward and back here is what creates the momentum. Your lower body's just tight, and naturally you kind of go from that hollow to arch position. So don't do a big aggressive swing of the legs. Keep everything nice and tight and use your upper body to create that swing. We're gonna count the swings as 1-1. So you're gonna go 1-1, 2-2, 3-3. So that's how I want you guys to do a good amount of those. Next, 15 single leg jump rope one side, then 15 single leg jump rope the other side. I really like these to help warm up individually, each calf and each ankle. I see a lot of people that do double unders and they kind of have like a staggered stance with their feet. They might use one leg more than the other. They might hop on one side and they might not, put as much weight on the other leg. It might be because of injury, which would make more sense, but I see a lot of people just doing that just because that's how they learned, and it causes imbalances down the road. So I want to make sure each one is feeling good. They're both warm, so that way neither one is giving you a problem, or neither one of them, gets wonky in the middle of the workout, you do have to start leaning on one more because you want to keep everything as symmetrical as possible and not have one fry out before the other. So 2 rounds of that, and then you're gonna do 3 rounds of 4 dumbbell front squats and 4 dumbbell push press at a lighter weight than you plan on using for the workout. I want you to do this because I want you to make sure your squat feels really good and your press feels really good individually, because if I were to just have you do 4 dumbbell thrusters here, you might think, oh, it feels kind of good. I'll probably just, get warmed up in the middle of the workout. They'll feel better as I get loose and the blood starts flowing. But if that's the case, you might not know if maybe your squat is actually just really falling apart, because maybe your hips are tight from earlier in the week, or your glutes are tight, or your back's pulling, or whatever it is. It's like, oh, it's kind of like how the first thrusters always feel, and then 10 minutes into the workout, it always feels better at the second half. That might be the case, but it might not be. So doing this for this warm-up is going to allow you to assess, okay, wow, my squat feels horrible, my shoulder overhead feels fine. I'm going to go spend more time mobilizing my hips and my ankles and things like that. Or vice versa, my shoulders are really tight, I need to open those up more because it's really hard to press them and lock them out overhead. My arms are still kind of bent at the top. So break it down, make sure both halves of the movement feel good. So when you go to the full-on thruster, it feels nice and solid. Next, 6 toes to bar. Use this time to determine which which strategy you're gonna use when you're gonna approach these toes to bar. Are you someone that can hold on to it and do 6 toes to bar unbroken? Are you gonna do 3 and 3 or 2, 2, 2? Or are you gonna do singles the entire way? Are you gonna do really fast singles? It's just because toes to bar are hard on your grips, so you wanna just do singles to save energy? Or is it because toes to bar are just really tough and you're not very efficient at them, so you wanna do slower singles where you take a tiny little break in between each one? Figure out what strategy works for you. I wouldn't pick something that you don't think you can sustain the entire time. So if you are someone that typically in workouts has to eventually go down to just doing singles, I would probably recommend doing that from the get-go. Because if you're holding onto a pace you naturally start to slow down. You get in your head, you're like, okay, I'm getting really tired. I was doing 6 before, now I can barely do 2. So you try to rest longer, and it changes the whole flow of the entire workout and your whole strategy for everything. So it should be a pace you can hold on from the start to finish. Arm & Hammer, he did 20.1 the previous workout, and he did singles the entire way. And even though people might think singles, everyone that came to my gym thought they had to go unbroken. Unbroken is the way to go, so that way you can save a lot of time, it's gonna be much more efficient. But a lot of people at my gym got time capped, whereas Arm & Hammer finished at like around 14 minutes, I believe. So that is, don't be afraid to break things up if that's gonna save you in the long run and keep you moving the entire time. Next, 12 slow double unders. The reason I want you to do slow double unders is because there's some people out there that have one speed on their double unders and it's fast as hell. That's the only speed they have. So they grab that jump rope, they hear 3, 2, 1 go, and they go boom, 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 and they're busting out 30 reps in 5 seconds. That's all they know how to do. And then once they get tired, they trip. 1, 2, trip. 3, 4, 5, trip. And then it just falls apart, and they can't save themselves because they can't catch their breath during the double unders because they can only go one speed, which is fast, and it ends up being this huge cycle of you're just sitting in double unders, burning yourself up, and you're not going anywhere fast anymore because now you keep tripping up. So practice slow double unders. How slow can you complete 12 reps? Because that's gonna keep you probably more relaxed, and you're not gonna tense up, you're not gonna squeeze the handles with a death grip, you're not gonna jump up and do high knees or donkey kicks like some people do. They're super aggressive and tight, and they're kipping, they're swinging their wrists all they got, and they're jumping their asses off. And again, it's just burning off so much energy. The slower you can go, the better off you're gonna be, and the more efficient you're gonna be. Pretty much every time you trip on double unders, so you trip 1, 2, 3, that's 3 seconds. 3 seconds could be 6 to 9 double unders. That makes a huge difference. If you trip a bunch of times over the course of 20 minutes, that could be 50 extra reps that you could have gotten. So keep that in mind. The longer you can go, the slower you can go on double unders, and the longer you can go unbroken on them, the better off you're gonna be. Now, talking about movement efficiency, this will be really quick. Controlling the squat on the way down. Some people, when it comes to especially dumbbell thrusters, is they let those dumbbells control them and they shoot them down to the squat and they just bottom out and they try to muster everything they got to come back up. They try to lock it out, boom, boom, and it looks really ugly. It's frying their body. It's ugly, and I think I said ugly twice, but it's, it might lead to injury. There's so many bad things that can happen from that. So go slow on the way down the squat. Keep that chest up. Keep those elbows down and in front. set yourself up for a nice bottom position in that squat so you can drive straight up and put a lot of force into those dumbbells every time. I always tell my athletes with any kind of squat, don't let the weight squat you. You're squatting the weight. You're squatting with that weight. So don't show the weight who's boss, pretty much. Use a big kick from the shoulder. So there's two different types of double kipping toes bar that I see. There's the one that's up and down a lot, where they do a pretty aggressive knee bend, and they kind of just kick straight up to the post and bring their leg straight back down. There's ones with a big lofty swing. The ones that have the big lofty swing, that's they're keeping their legs long for the most part, having a tiny knee bend but really reaching their legs out as much as they can, are going to have a more powerful and more tight arch position, this position, to come back through and put a lot of power going into the next toes bar. So focus on using a really big swing every time. Don't just go up and down and go really fast on those, because you're gonna fry yourself, you're gonna fry your core and your hips, and you're gonna fall apart on those pretty quickly. Next, well, we kind of mentioned this here, stay relaxed on double unders. Don't tense up, don't grip up, don't squeeze the handles, everything you got. Try to stay as calm and relaxed. And what I would do here is, if you are someone that maybe would struggle to get 50 double unders unbroken, is I would have your judge, or if you don't have a judge, if you're recording it or whatever, maybe you're not doing it, you're not signed up for the Open, but you still want to, be competitive, have a buddy count your reps for you. And I want you to focus on a cadence. So I always go on a 1-2-3 beat when I'm first teaching my athletes double unders, and the 1-2 is the swing of the wrists. So that's the 1-2, the second part of the double under, and then your feet touching the floor. So it goes 1-2-3, 1-2-3, 1-2-3. If you can keep a nice smooth cadence, then you're going slower and you're able to control the double unders the entire time. Whereas if you're someone that has those really fast double unders, you're going 1-2-3, 1-2-3, 1-2-3, and if you can barely say those numbers fast enough in your head, then you're going way too fast, you're gonna blow up, all that jazz. So stay relaxed, have someone else count your reps, you don't have to worry about them, and just focus on controlling your breathing, slow breath, slow cadence. Everything is in your power to just go as slow as you can. Those CrossFitters struggle going slow, go slow on the double unders. It'll help you get that much further in this workout. There's one other thing I want to say. Oh, on the double unders, I would try to face a wall if you can, or face where no one is looking at you. Don't look at someone else's face that's watching you do the workout. Don't look at someone that's competing against you. Don't have a big crowd in front of you. If you can, try to look away so that way you're not, I feel like that tends to get in people's heads. Like every time I'm coaching someone or I'm coaching a class and there's double unders, I try not to walk in front of somebody, because it's kind of like a snatch or a clean. It's like when you get in their line of sight, it's like everything falls apart. So try to fix it on a spot where nothing is there to distract you. What are we at? 17 minutes? Dang, I tried to make this video short, but it wasn't gonna happen. All right, mental game. 20 minutes isn't a long time. For the Open, yes, 20 minutes is a very long time. If you're a games athlete that's known for sprinting their ass off and going hard in the paint, 20 minutes is a very long time. But for us mere mortals, 20 minutes should be something we should be able to sustain and hold on to, because our capability of holding a higher heart rate, so like let's say for example, there's Matt Frazier and me. We're probably the same height, but not the same level of fitness. Matt Frazier could probably hold his 80% heart rate a lot better than I can hold my 80% heart rate. So he can push himself a lot harder, so 20 minutes is a lot more grueling than for him, but for me, I can't hold my 80% heart rate. So I have to either slow down, or I have to take small breaks in order to regulate it back down to get back and kind of keep pushing myself. So I want you guys to look at it this way. If I told you, I'm breathing really hard, I'm getting really hyped right now. Anyways, if I told you go for a 20-minute jog, you're not gonna go, okay, open the door and then go sprint for the first 2 minutes. You're gonna go, okay, you're gonna go nice and slow, you're gonna get the blood moving, you're gonna get the heart rate up. Maybe the last 5 minutes, last 3 minutes, you still have a little bit of energy. Oh, okay, cool, I'm about to make it back home. I'm gonna pick that pace up a little bit because I know I still have a little left in the tank. I want you guys to have that approach for this workout. Go as consistent as slow as you can, try not to slow down at all, and then maybe the last couple of minutes, if you have it in you, you pick it up a little bit and you try to go that much faster. If you are someone, because everyone has the same end in sight, everyone's gonna end at 20 minutes, versus like Open workout 20.1, it was different at how everyone ended, so that one's a different approach to it. But I feel like, I mentioned this similar to 20.1, if you're someone that just goes gun-ho and dies off, you're gonna do a lot worse than someone that's able to keep nice and smooth and then last second flip that switch and give it all they got. It doesn't matter how fast you start, it matters how fast you finish. So keep that in mind. Don't be afraid just because your buddy's better at thrusters and toes bar, he's getting a little bit of a lead on you. If you think you're better at double unders and you can stay consistent, let them burn out as you stay nice and cool. So stay slow and steady. Cool. That is my 20.2 tips and strategy video for you guys. I hope you liked it. Again, if you have any questions on any of these things that I mentioned, or you want to see more things in the next video, let me know in the comments. I'll get right back to you guys. I'm very responsive on there. I get back to the comments ASAP. Yeah, that's everything. Cool. Good luck on Open Workout 20.2, you guys. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. It helps me out a lot. If you want to, share it with a friend that also has questions and wants ideas on how to approach this workout. I feel like this is, there's a lot of jam-packed information in here that can really benefit a lot of you guys. If you're not already, subscribe to the channel. We post tons of fitness videos and tips and tricks and techniques and all that kind of stuff on here. If you're not already, follow us on Instagram at ConstantlyVariedFitness, and we'll see you guys in the next episode.